Ukraine's cross-border incursion is one of the largest attacks in Russian territory since the invasion began in February of 2022. Ukrainian forces have seized control of 28 towns and villages in Russia's Kursk region, causing around 120,000 people to flee, with another 60,000 awaiting evacuation. Ukrainian troops have advanced up to 12 kilometers into Russian territory and a hold of 40-kilometer wide area. Russian President Vladimir Putin has emphasized the need to focus on civilian aid and border security, acknowledging potential for further conflict.
Ukraine's surprise cross-border incursion marked a significant shift in the almost 2.5-year war with Russia. It was Kyiv's biggest attack on Russian territory since Moscow invaded Ukraine in February 2022. International security expert Dr. Marian Mezmer of the London-based think tank Chatham House told Reuters there are a couple likely strategies at play.
My best guess is that Ukraine, on the one hand, wanted to push back against Russia, perhaps to increase any leverage that they might have in any upcoming negotiations. And it also seems to have been an attempt to draw Russian military attention away from where they were pushing ahead. And that seems to have worked pretty well.
Ukraine had been losing territory to Russian forces until its surprise attack. Mezmer says it's a risky move.
One risk, of course, is that we've already seen that Russia has much more military personnel than Ukraine. And while Ukraine has managed to kind of stretch Russian military forces thinner, it also has to stretch its own forces much thinner. And Russia presumably is going to try and hit back quite hard, because this is obviously making them look quite bad. And it's something that Putin won't want to see repeated. So this could lead to quite significant losses for the Ukrainian military, which are much harder for Ukraine to absorb than for Russia, which doesn't necessarily have the same personnel challenge.
Mezmer said that Ukraine's counteroffensive has likely lifted its soldiers' spirits, at least for the time being.
I think the counteroffensive so far has done a lot for morale. I mean, Ukrainians know that the alternative to the war, if it was to end badly for them, isn't good. And so that is part of why they have been so committed and so behind the government. And I think this very successful counteroffensive has meant that there is a real sense that, Ukraine could win the war, but it could, of course, also sort of go in the other direction if Russian attacks intensify as a result.
Ukraine's top commander said on Monday that Kyiv controlled around 1,000 square kilometers of Russia's Kursk region 7 days after the incursion began.